Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Eons. Welcome to Strange Eons Radio. That's Eric up there.
Howdy.
And that's Vanessa up there.
Hello.
I'm Kelly, and I just want to say, hey, after that amazing couple of in-person videos, we have screwed the pooch already, and here we are recording remotely. Vanessa, why are we recording remotely?
You know what? My baby had her very first Easter. And somebody
remember it well.
Somebody had gone through a lot of trouble to put a lot of eggs in a lot of random places, and she had to go and kind of look roughly like she could see where those eggs were, and then I had to pick them up and put them in a basket, and then everybody had to take photos. So that's where I was. Dang it.
There you go.
I would say this, without throwing anyone under the bus. Since one person here has religious holidays to think about, and two people here don't even realize when a religious holiday is happening.
That was hilarious.
You might have to let us kind of know more than once.
I told you.
Yes, but I feel like you must have told us in January or something.
No, I told you the week before.
You know, we're recording on Easter, and my thought was, cool.
Yeah, who cares?
That doesn't mean anything to me.
I thought I said we got to figure this out. And then, anyway.
You're going to have to let the two heathens here know that baby Jesus has forbidden you to record on the holy day of his resurrection.
I was going to say, adult Jesus, get it together. Come on, baby Jesus was months ago.
Carlos has told me that he's baby Jesus as far as anything goes if you refer to him.
Well, I wonder when Carlos puts the little baby Jesus into the manger, because it's supposed to be a very specific moment.
Oh.
You have to wait. You can't just throw him in there ahead of time. He cannot just be there. You have to wait until the right moment of the artificially made up date of December 25th to put him inside of the little cradle. So
wait a second. You can't be throwing shade on December 25th. Isn't Easter a ripped off date as well? Wasn't that some heathen?
Oh, 100%. Come on. Sure. Actually, I didn't have a Catholic Easter. It was more of a pagan Easter celebration that I went to.
Well, if you had led with that, we would have been like, oh, can we come?
Yeah, I should have invited you. You would have been welcome. Yeah. You could have also found eggs.
I think that I was probably sleeping off a mushroom gummy evening the night before.
We all celebrate in our own ways the coming and passing of Jesus and or fertility gods ahead of time.
Yeah, we were replacing watching Dina's dad on Sunday. You know,
right?
Although he did make the ham.
Oh wow! He made a ham.
He is a ham.
Yeah, got a pig in and brought it.
No, he like opened an oven and shoved it there. That's like a lot of work for somebody who's just been in the hospital.
The freaky one is I heard that a friend of Dina's had a stroke, and one of the main things they need to do to get out of the hospital was to make an egg. This guy's idea of making an omelet, and he's now done it 2 Sundays in a row, is he makes the egg, lays it out solid, then takes the unbroken yolk, drops it in the omelet.
Oh my God.
And closes the omelet over the top of that without breaking the yolk.
Whoa.
And he's just still able to do that.
When you said this guy's idea, are we talking about Marth?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yep.
It just made my mom walk up and down some stairs. I don't know.
Yeah.
Nobody was made to make an egg.
One of the doctors put it really well, and it's very true. He got 95% of the way really quick, but that last 5% takes a while. He's doing great, but he's not all the way there. But man, he is just, it's impressive.
Wow. Oh my gosh. That's amazing right there.
Yes. We are very happy to hear that Martha's doing well.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that was my Easter.
Oh, sorry.
All the Easters.
Yes. Should we talk some movies?
Yeah, Kelly, what'd you get up to
Sure.
as far as viewing things?
Let's see. Well, I saw the new Ghostbusters,
Holy cow. How was
Oh.
that?
Frozen Empire Strikes Back. Um, quite
Good
bad.
title.
Oh.
Not very good at all, and
Oh no.
so confusing that I was just scratching my head. I mean, there's like 15 Ghostbusters now,
Yeah.
and there's no reason why, and they keep bringing in new people and new plot points throughout the movie. I was just like, you guys, this is just too fucking much. Why does this have to happen? I think the most impressive thing about this franchise is that it has managed to reinvent itself as kind of a Spielbergian 80s series, when that was certainly not what the first two movies were about.
No.
Right.
Those were movies about kind of fuck off adult men who accidentally saved the world and made jokes and were trying to get laid and all of that stuff. And then I mean, quite honestly, the female led Ghostbusters was closer to that than this new one, although not very good. But, I thought Afterlife did a nice job of kind of introducing us to a new cast
Mhm.
and this new idea and all of this stuff. And then they just did fucking shit with that.
Oh no.
Finn Wolfhard is in this movie, but I don't know why. His
Yeah.
character is given nothing to do. The main girl, I don't know the actress's name. Her character is Phoebe. She is like the lead character. Her storyline is the big one, and she's fine, but she's relegated to being off of the team because she's too young.
Oh.
And then Dan
Weird.
Aykroyd shows up, and I don't like Dan Aykroyd as a human being or an actor. He is by far the best thing in this movie.
Wow.
He seems like he's having a good time. There's a light in his eye that you haven't seen in 40 years, and he's doing a decent job. And oh, listen, when Dan Aykroyd is the best part of your movie, you have a fucked up movie. So I thought it was just a real turd. I'm sure there will be another one. Bill Murray looked completely lost in this. I feel like there was one line that felt like a Bill Murray line, and I bet you he improvised it, and they left it in or something like that. But everything else was just really really bad.
Mm.
Um, but I imagine that there's a bunch of nerds out there who fucking loved it because it's got ghosts in it and shit like that.
I've only heard of people hating on it, which is too
Oh,
bad
okay.
because the trailer made it look like, I don't know, they messed up New York and it looks all disastery, and I was excited about it.
There was, I'll tell you this, there was a good story somewhere in this movie,
Hmm.
but it was not the movie we got. They needed to drop about 5 characters, and they needed to give Finn Wolfhard a reason for how little he was in the film, and I think that
Hmm.
that could have been done very easily. Uh, there was no reason to bring Annie Potts back if you're not going to let Annie Potts do anything. Just so that she's there and people can go, oh look, it's the girl from the first movie. Nobody fucking cares if she doesn't get to do anything.
Yeah, that is something I'd heard is like there are just a lot of people who are doing literally nothing in this movie, which is too bad.
Fan service kind of stuff.
But the 80s, we got to keep making Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
Ghostbusters, your mileage may vary.
speaking of throwbacks and uh hopefully I'm not stepping on anyone's toes, but I saw X-Men 97,
X-Men 97.
the first couple episodes on Disney Plus. Did
Yeah,
either of you guys manage to catch this yet?
No.
I have.
Oh, you have? Okay. So, when I was a kid, I was a huge fan of the X-Men animated series. I was always actually, speaking of Catholicism, I was really like irritated to miss out on the episodes because I had to go to church and that sucked. So I was like very hesitant about what this new show is going to be like. And God, it is such a weirdly pleasant surprise. Like I feel like it's made by somebody people who know what the original series is, love the original series, but want to make it better. Like I don't know, the writing and at least a little bit of the animation, but so much of it is still in that exact same style. They still have really like somebody will open a book and it'll be like science. and, and just a lot of like, I am Storm, I am the goddess of fun. Like there's just a lot of this dramatic bravado and like stating the obvious and really harkening back to these comic book pieces that are just larger than life and aren't trying to be the realistic, gritty, whatever, whatever. And I just enjoyed the crap out of it. I was just, yeah, it's been really fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I was a little too old when it first came out, although I was dating a girl who had a couple of kids. And so I had a reason to sit down and watch it with them a couple of times. And I thought, this isn't really doing anything for me. But
Sure.
I decided to watch I guess 3 episodes have come out now as we're recording this.
Yes.
And at the end of the third episode, I was like, this is strangely compelling. I'm not sure
Yeah.
why I'm so interested in seeing what happens next.
No, that's how I felt too. I was like, I want to know what like it's not that it's not that you're watching it and it's like somehow really I don't know, modern TV and all these modern things are so well structured and they're so well paced and everything is so cinematic. And this is not that. But it is so engaging and interesting and like ridiculous that you're just like, yes, please, the Goblin Queen, tell me more. Where's she going? Like, where's these other characters at? What's gonna happen next? And I don't know. It's been ridiculously fun.
So is it just like a new X-Men series pretending it came out in 97?
Yes,
Yes,
it
which is
essentially.
when that last show aired.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So
it
it
picks
takes
up after that last episode.
exactly. It takes
Oh,
place
wow.
like 1 year later or something like that. So it's
Huh.
right. Charles Xavier is gone, and they've kind of restructured who's in charge of the academy, and there's all the new dynamics, and yeah, it's
Yeah. Cool.
interesting.
I think
Got one out.
probably what I'm gravitating towards is, Vanessa, I told you that I had tried to read up on the new X-Men and I was so confused with everything that was going
Yeah.
on. And
Yes.
this actually resembles the X-Men comics that I was reading back in the 80s. So I
Yeah.
was like, oh, okay, I know who these characters are. So I think
Yes.
that's probably why I was having a good time with it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And a lot of just like with the original series, it does pull a lot of these stories directly from the comics. And sometimes it does a good job of like homaging them, and sometimes it doesn't. The third episode of the new series is a little rushed on a pretty major plot point, but that's okay. It was still a fun ride.
Yeah, I liked it.
So what
Cool.
about you, Eric?
Well, my Walter Hill fest continues.
Excellent.
I watched 92's Trespass,
Ooh,
which
Yeah.
stars Bill Paxton, Ice-T, William Sadler, and Ice Cube.
whoa.
Remind me, is this the one where it's all in a prison?
No, this is uh, Paxton and Sadler find like a treasure map that leads to a guy's supposed treasure stolen from a church years earlier, and they go to this abandoned building, and gang shows up, and it sort of turns into a assault on Precinct 13 kind of movie. I mean, it's not
Oh,
in a police station or anything like that, but it's them holed up trying to keep Ice T and Ice Cube's group from breaking in and killing them. so, so, as is true with many Walter Hill movies, it's kind of low on. It's one of the good ones because it's kind of low on plot and all about the characters and the stuff going down. So it's a fun watch. All the acting was top notch. Everybody was really good. And it's like, oh yeah, that's the guy who now does movies about traveling across country, Winnebago. And the other guy's on LA Law. so It was a little weird, but yeah, he's keeping on, doing all right still.
I
Although
mean,
I've
Gosh,
noticed
Beth.
in the letterbox ratings, like if you look on a director, they have all the movies listed and they're listed by uh, popular ratings, like the best ones at the top. And I've noticed I am now entering the bottom two layers of
Uh-oh.
his director. So we'll see how it goes.
Did you say this was from 92?
Yeah.
Okay. So
You're
he still
thinking
had
of
some juice
the,
back then, I think.
oh, yeah. Yeah. This is a fun movie. I like this one quite a bit. You're thinking of Undefeated, I think it is the
Oh,
prison boxing movie.
yes.
mm,
That's the one I
Undisputed.
just
Undisputed.
yeah, I just watched that one. Not very good.
That's all right.
So
Sorry.
I'm sure that's on your list of things you
Oh,
have to
I
catch up
I
on.
actually finished watching it earlier today while
Oh,
I was
okay.
doing some other work. So
Okay.
yeah,
I hope
you're
I
right.
didn't
But it's
step on your next choice.
no, you didn't. I've got another one.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay, well then I will talk about something that you should all watch.
Oh,
It is on Tubi, which is becoming my favorite free
Yeah.
station, and it is called RoboDoc, and it is the
Oh,
making of RoboCop.
yeah. I want to see
And
Robo
that one.
Doc. Oh, okay.
I thought I was sitting down for a documentary movie. It is a documentary series. I'm on episode 4. They're each about
Oh,
50 minutes long. I have a feeling this thing's going to be
wow.
about 6 hours long when it's done. But they talk to everybody. And when I say everybody, I mean the guy who's, I'll buy that for $1. They talk to that guy for a while. They talk to
Wow.
every single person. The most impressive, of course, though, is they get Peter Weller to sit down and talk
Yeah.
about RoboCop. And
Right.
he just never talks about this movie. And he
Really?
talks about how much he loved making it and how impressive and important it was and all of that stuff. So it is a really, really great interview with him. It's got, I don't know if it's got a big budget, but it certainly has very high production values because they'll be sitting there talking to any number of one of the bad guys, and he'll be saying, so I was holding a gun and they were telling me, okay, I need you to do this. And as he's doing this, there's muzzle flashes happening while he's speaking and stuff like that. And I'm like, geez, this thing's amazing looking. So it's called RoboDoc. If you're a fan of RoboCop, I think that you would like this. And if you're just a fan of film documentaries, I think you would really like this. It is on Tubi, and I'm only 5 episodes in so far.
That's awesome.
That sounds good.
Uh, wow. Well, in anticipation of today, I watched a couple of different like Mars movies because I have a lot of time, and turns out when you only sleep 4 hours a day and the rest of your day is sitting holding a small child, you you fill it with things that don't involve your hands, which are movies. So I ended up watching a Cole Sprouse film called Moonshot, which kind of came and went relatively quietly. And it's about a future Earth in which everything sucks and it's just filled with garbage, and everybody's trying to get
Future.
to yeah, everybody's trying to get to Mars to live a new clean life, and it's being colonized and all that kind of stuff. So Cole Sprouse sneaks onto a ship following a girl who has zero interest in him and he has zero interest in her. She's just kind of an excuse and a way to get there, and they slowly across the trip fall in love, and he has to keep hiding on the ship because he's not allowed to be there because he didn't pay $1 million for the ticket, and he also is not a genius. So his two ways of getting there did not come through fruition. It is, if you're a teenage girl, you're really excited by a teenage-ish to 20 something love story, and you like space, then this is great. If you're me, it's mostly good until the very end when they have every opportunity in the world to wrap up all of the plot points in like half a scene in a sentence, and they choose not to. And they just have a title card that pops up and says the end. And I'm like, where is the rest of this movie? What happened to this, and this? Because I know exactly how you can tie all of this up very quickly. It can even be like a shot of a newspaper coming out at the screen, flying through. So and so reveals such and such. Flip to page 23. Page 23, so and so has done this other cool thing and it saved blah, blah, blah. Like, oh, it's so easy. It's so easy. It's so close. It could have been great, but it's fine. I enjoy a good Cole Sprouse situation now that we don't have Riverdale. So that's all I got. I got fucking Moonshot.
Moonshot. Moonshot is streaming.
I think I had to pay for it.
Oh my God. Wow.
Well, it was
Okay.
free for a very long time on something, and I think it's playing the wheel of what streaming service it's on, as a lot of these films end up doing. So I'm sure it will be on something again soon. But right now, I think it was an Amazon rental. Don't judge me.
Can't help
No.
it.
I have no room to judge anybody's bad movie watching.
Thank you, Eric.
Walter Hill, part, I don't know, 7 or 8 now. 2012's Bullet to the Head, which I'd actually kind of avoided because I thought it was a remake of a John Woo movie, which has a fairly similar title, but it's not. At least references I couldn't find on any things about the movie. It's a Stallone film, and let's see who else is in there. It's got Stallone and Sung Kang, who is the guy from Fast and the Furious, who died in the second one, but was so popular that they figured out a way to bring him back. So I'm not kidding about that. Jason Momoa, in one of his first roles shortly after Game of Thrones ended, I believe.
Oh yeah.
A return with Christian Slater in it. And it's got, and a whole bunch of other people you're going to recognize, just like most Walter Hill movies are filled with journeyman actors and performers. You know what? A lot better than I thought it was going to be. Again, as his Warriors and many of his great movies, plot line is thin. This is basically you killed my partner, I'm going to get revenge on you movie. And Stallone plays the good guy, and Momoa plays the main. Well, the guy who kills his partner. He's not really the main guy, but he's one of the main heavies. They have a reminiscence of Streets of Fire. They have a big battle, both using fire axes. It's like, this is cool. Apparently, when I was trying to figure out if it was a remake of John Woo, I was reading a little bit about it. And this is the only film that has Stallone and all his tattoos are seen with no adjustments and no additional ones added. And they're pretty damn impressive. The tattoo across his back and his shoulders is really cool. But you know what? This was fun. I enjoyed this one. Maybe because I thought it was not going to be good because it's 2012 and Walter Hill's 2000 films are not always as good. But
Right.
I actually really enjoyed this one.
Bullet to the Head.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, did you get a Walter Hill box set or something? Is that how you're watching all this, or what's going on here?
I do have one of those right here.
Oh
But
my
this
gosh.
is the only thing I haven't seen in this is Broken Trail. But
I'm not familiar with that one.
mainly his bigger movies. But I just, I feel like watching. Screw it, I'm gonna watch a bunch of Walter Hill movies. Maybe I'll see on Letterboxd if I can make him my number one watch director for the year.
Very nice.
It's a step up from I've had Al Adamson. I've had who was the other guy? Oh,
Bruno
Andy
Matteo?
Milligan.
Oh,
So it's like maybe I should get a really accomplished director to be my number one most director of the year, just for the hell of it.
I don't know why you're bothering. The makeup for our listeners certainly doesn't skew towards action films. They skew towards Cole Sprouse romantic comedy.
In
I
space.
like
It's a
I
genre
like
movie.
the Vanessa's like, if you're a teenage girl, and I'm like, Eric, quick, do the numbers. How many teenage girls listen to this show?
Mhm. I
It's
don't
zero.
think. Yeah,
We
I think
don't
that's
know that.
probably a safe
We
bet.
don't know that.
Hey,
It's zero.
We've got a YouTube video
I'm not
now.
doing a
Come on.
call out either for teenage girls to
No, no, no. No, no.
reach out
Don't
to
do that.
us. So
No, no.
if there
0%.
are, thanks, enjoy. But
Hey, some of our listeners might have teenage girls in their household and they need fun sci movies to throw their way.
Sure.
Come on.
It's fair.
fair enough.
How about we take a little break, guys? We argue this out while the listeners aren't part of it. And then when we come back, we can talk about our picks for Mars films.
Cool.
Yeah! Throttle, Vinny, Moto, biker mice on battle bikes with the firepower to stop the evil Plutarchians.
Catch this, Carbuncle.
Gets me every time.
Step his way, Exasius vermin.
No way, fish face!
Grease pedals, grease them. Grease this. Whoa.
Time to rock and ride!
Biker mice from Mars, bikes and figures, each sold separately, new from Galoob.
We have returned, almost like we were never gone. Vanessa, this was your subgenre pick. You want to tell us why you chose this?
Absolutely. So I chose Mars because, I mean, obviously, I love space and science fiction. And of course, Mars films and films relating to Mars in general fits right within that. But unfortunately, I can't take the credit. A friend of mine and a listener, Tom Kirkham, said, "Hey, have you done this?" And I went, "Oh my God, we have not, and we must." So thank you so much, Tom, for suggesting it. The movie that I chose, oh, do we have a timer? Is it going?
Oh, shit. I'll be right back. Go ahead and start.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I went with the 2000 film Mission to Mars.
This is a truly anomalous formation. It's unlike anything that we've seen so far. We're trying not to go too nuts up here, but we think there's a good chance that this could be water. Of course, if that's correct, then we may have found the key to permanent human colonization.
Yes. Okay, we're ready to light this candle.
Let's go to Mars.
Hey, what the hell is that?
No idea, boss.
Prepare to abandon ship.
For centuries, we've searched for the origin of life on Earth. We've been looking on the wrong planet.
I'm sure both of you have seen, even if you may have repressed it. I know I did. This is a not well received movie from 2000. It's pretty low in the numbers.
10 minutes.
Thank you. A Rotten Tomato score of 24 from critics and 30% from audience, so not good. Budget of $100 million, box office of $111 million.
Oh, well, there you go.
So it might have hit zero if their advertising was only within 11 million. Um, this, however, the reason I chose this movie is because when I was looking at Mars films, I was like, this was directed by Brian De Palma, which it was. Brian De Palma, who has 44 credits to his name, including Carrie, Body Double, Untouchable, Scarface, Mission Impossible, Snake Eyes, and of course, on our show, I did Sisters. I think Eric, you did Body Double at one point.
That's Kelly, I believe.
Kelly,
Or-
I
Yeah.
think you did Body Double at one point.
That is correct.
So, I remember. Well, it's written by Lowell Cannon. This is just the only film that he's worked on, but also Jim and John Thomas, who seem like a pair of brothers who have done Predator, Executive Decision, and movies like Wild Wild West together. This is starring Gary Sinise. I do not like this man's face.
I love Gary Sinise.
He's a good actor. I just don't like, there's something about his face that really wakes me out. He has 56 credits to his name. He is Lieutenant Dan in Forrest Gump. He was also in Of Mice and Men, Apollo 13, Green Mile, Snake Eyes, and currently is doing some TV stuff, including 13 Reasons Why, and CSI New York, which he did 197 episodes of. So
Wow.
I guess that's where he went. Tim Robbins is also in this, 78 credits to his name. Shawshank Redemption, Jacob's Ladder, Twister, Mystic River, The Player. Currently also in a much loved show among us, Silo.
Oh, nice.
Don Cheadle, 112 credits to his name, including Crash, Hotel Rwanda, and of course, currently in Marvel as Rhodey. Also, he did the recent DuckTales. He was the voice of Donald Duck, which is very
Really?
interesting to me. I know. I was like, whoa. And he actually has a fair number of animated voice credits that popped up, including Captain Planet in a recent Captain Planet. So interesting stuff. We also have Connie Nelson, who's Wonder Woman, Gladiator, Soldier, 68 credits to her name, and Jerry O'Connell from Sliders, 134 credits. Stand By Me, Scream 2, and he's also doing a ton of animated voice work, including Lower Decks as Commander Jack Ransom. So, the story. We start off at a party. It almost looks like a kid's birthday party. There's like little rockets going off and a lot of space themed stuff. And it's like, what's happening? There's a dude hitting on a lady, and he's kind of like, oh, this is my last night, and it could be special with you. And we quickly realize this is not a kid's birthday party, despite all the children running around and there being like cake being served. It is these astronauts' last night on Earth before they go to Mars. There is a mission that is to go explore it and see if we could potentially colonize it. And we meet the character Jim, who is Don Cheadle. I'm sorry, Luke. Apologies. Luke, who's Don Cheadle. And he's really nervous about seeing another astronaut who's going to show up, Jim. The reason why is because he's become the commander of this mission, all because Jim's wife got sick and died, and he could no longer be in charge. So they kind of make peace. They have some drinks, and Jim's like, it's cool, dude. I'm going to be watching you from above. So Jim's going to be on the other side in the space station while Luke and his team go out to Mars. Of course, we cut to Mars. It's happened. They're there. They made it. But there's something weird going on. And they go to check out this metal structure. And all of a sudden, this giant, like, sand tornado comes at them and murders pretty much everybody except for Luke. And I didn't remember this part of this movie, but like there's a guy who gets whipped up into this tornado and literally all of his limbs come off one at a time as he's screaming. And I was like, this is going to be a better movie than I thought it was going to be. So we then see Luke is able to send out this sort of really distorted distress signal back to Earth and to the space station saying something's gone wrong, but they can only pick up little fragments of what he's saying. So a mission to save him goes underway. And this time, Jim is going to lead it along with a husband and wife team, Woody and Terry, and the goofy young guy, Phil. Of course, these are played by um, our Tim Robbins, Connie Nelson, and Jerry O'Connell. So they're hanging out in space. They're making their way for a couple of months to go rescue this guy. Obviously, there's a lot of fire under their belt, um, but it's fine because we have the most incredible set. There is a giant rotating space set, and it almost seems like a Wes Anderson style thing where you see people walking along the outer edge and you go from room to room, and each room has different people doing different things in it. And it's just so cool to look at. I don't know, I was really impressed. They approach Mars and they start, getting ready to land when all of a sudden they hit some asteroids and one goes straight into the ship and through one of the dude's hands. And you're like,
Oh,
he's just bleeding. And you're like, what the fuck is this movie? So um, they follow the blood, they patch the hole, they try to figure out, how best to get the ship going, but they have to get ready to land. So they're like, shit, it's fine. Everything's gonna be fine. Let's land. Turns out not so fine. Most of the ship is pretty fucked up from other asteroid dings. And as they approach Mars, it falls the fuck apart and they have to jump out and tether to each other and try to get to a piece that broke off, which is going to be the module they'll use to land Mars into. At this point, the husband and wife team are then under pressure, and husband fucks up. I'm not going to say all the details, but I will say you do get to see a man take his own space helmet off in space to prevent further deaths and see his head turn into a giant icicle. Fucking this movie. Dude, this
I,
fucking movie.
why was I under the impression this was like a Disney movie based on the ride that they had at Disneyland?
I don't know. I don't think that's what this is.
Well, this doesn't happen on the ride. Spoilers.
I mean, I haven't been to that ride, so I don't know. So I will say, once they get to Mars, they find Luke. He's got a real castaway look about him, and he says, "Oh my God, you're not gonna believe what I saw." And then, of course, they do not believe what he saw, which is a very weird structure on Mars. There's a signal coming out of this strange structure, and of course, they don't believe him until they see his spacesuit footage, and then they also see the rover footage of the thing. At this point, the movie sucks ass. This is this is why nobody likes this movie. Let's just say they go and approach the structure. They go in. There's a giant CGI alien thing in there. It's real bad. There's a whole thing about how life has come from Mars and they shot their vessel and DNA off into Earth, and that's why we exist. And creepo Gary Sinise decides to go off to venture among the stars to meet these aliens. The end. It's shit. It's a shit ending. But guys, up until then, it is so fucking good. Up until then.
Wow.
Yeah. The action moments are so good. It's just way more gory and intense and stressful than I ever thought it was. Yeah, just crazy. Just a little bit of quick trivia before my timer goes off. The filmmakers created the Martian landscape in a massive sandpit near Vancouver. It was one of the biggest sets ever constructed for a movie, around 2 million square feet. The crew used over 14,000 gallons of paint to spray the soil Mars red. Um, between visuals, miniatures, and animation, over 400 technicians were directly involved in production and aspects of the special effects. Many of the props from this movie, including the big turning wheel set in the spacecraft model, are now on display in the line queue area for the Mission Space ride at Epcot in Walt Disney World in Florida. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that does mean it's somehow related. Um, each one of the spacesuits Did it
Very
go off?
close. You
Oh,
got about a minute.
each one of the spacesuits costs around $100,000 to make, but the real NASA spacesuit costs about 10 to 12 million. And every actor had their own crew to get in the spacesuit, and it took about 45 minutes. They also weighed 62 pounds. Done.
Very nice. Is this the one that has like a robotic dog?
Nope.
No. Okay. All right. Well, bottom line, Vanessa, is this a recommend or no?
Oh God. Yeah, I actually would recommend this movie. Just bear in mind it's gonna fucking end terribly. But Jesus, it's so good up until then. And it's Brian De Palma. Like, come on. It's Brian De Palma.
I love that it's Brian De Palma, although when I think of space adventure, his name is not the first that comes to mind, unless it's like
No.
a Hitchcockian murder space adventure.
No, I hear you, but there's so much design and style that's kind of going on. And then it's got the really terrible 90s like space action, which is so fun from the year 2024. It's
Yeah.
24 years ago this movie came out. I want to die.
Eric,
All
you
righty.
want to go next?
On that chipper note, why don't I dive into my selection?
10 minutes on the buzzer.
Thank you. Going further back to 1964, we have Robinson Crusoe on Mars.
You will experience all the heart-pounding suspense of this first two-man space probe, traveling more than 71 million astromiles toward Mars. Here are all the unexpected terrors of outer space.
Unidentified flying mass. Dead ahead. Collision course. Fire main retros. Firing main retros. Mars gravity's taking over, pulling us down. Prepare to eject. Emergency procedure. Blast off when you're ready.
The scorching surface of the fire swamp that is Mars. A world no man has ever seen, and now one man must explore alone. A temporary home is found. How long can a man stay alive?
My two most difficult problems are air and water. I have, with what's left in my tank and one reserve cylinder, enough oxygen for, about 60 hours. Of course, once my air gives out, water won't matter.
You gotta face the reality of being alone forever.
The devastating laser beams with which spacemen from the constellation Orion excavate the rare minerals of Mars. The escaping slave worker who becomes a modern man Friday. The storm of burning ashes whose fury descends on Mars. The polar ice cap and the wild surface storms that cover the planet with freezing cold. The holocaust of searing hell when Mars and a flaming asteroid collide and turn the ice cap into molten lava. The violent celestial bombardment of Mars by attacking humanoids from another galaxy.
The Rotten Tomatoes is weird on this one. 94 from critics, which, sure. 62 from the crowd. Well, that's a little low, but oh well. This is available on Canopy. So, library card, you can see it for free. Cult Pix or Rent. It's on several places. This is directed by Byron Haskin, who might know from Captain Sinbad, The Adventures of Long John Silver. Did I say that name right? And Treasure Island. He also did special effects for over 50 films, including one of my all-time favorites, Arsenic and Old Lace.
Hmm.
So, did a lot of stuff. Written by Ib McQuire, who wrote Planet of the Vampires,
Yes.
Death Race 2000, The Angry Red Planet, and Godzilla Raids Again. Also, John C. Higgins, who wrote Raw Deal, not the Walter Hill film. This 1948. Big House USA, Daughters of Satan, and several 1930s safety style videos.
Yes. Yes. Fuck yes.
And from the book by Daniel Defoe. Starring, unfortunately, but not totally bad, instead of Adam West, the main actor in this is Paul Mantee. He is known for tons of 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s TV shows. This man has been in anything and everything because he's that neutral but square jawed, good looking guy that just plugs into anything. Is also Death Race 2000 or Death Ray 2000. Victor Lunden, who plays Friday in the movie, he's been in 4 episodes of Batman, Island of Love, and The Theory of Everything. And it does have Adam West. He opens the movie, and then he subsequently dies in the movie. Very early on. He's best known for, Batman, with over 200 credits, all kinds of strange stuff he's been in. So I'd been hearing about this movie for years. It looked really interesting. So I'm like, okay, I got to see this. And you know what? It's pretty good.
Yeah.
We get to start off with a cute little monkey in his little flying spacesuit and he's dressed like like an astronaut in the whole orange outfit and everything. The Adam West opens it, like I said, excellently with his also square jawed, awesome voice. Everything coming in full effect for a little while as he's trying to keep them from crashing to Mars. As you can probably guess, this is not a successful quest. Holy shit, this is a scary Mars. They crash to the ground. There's giant flames everywhere. There's huge dust and cloud storms. The flames not only like in the background like a giant wall of flame, they occasionally fly through the air. So it's like, wow, Mars is really scary, at least for a little while. 2 astronauts land on Mars, but are in separate areas. And the one guy, Paul, starts setting up his and they do some really clever things in this movie. He figures out the flames are coming from or ignited by this one yellow rock that says reminds him of coal. And he starts burning it. I'm going, they established that Mars has a low oxygen level, so you cannot breathe it. But you can breathe it, but it's not enough to sustain a human. So he starts burning this. And my first thought is, well, how is there enough oxygen to burn? Later on in the movie, he thinks the same thing and figures out that this item creates oxygen and uses it to refill his oxygen tanks. Going,
oh, that's cool.
That's really smart. Like, that's really cool. And there's a lot of that stuff in this movie. Though it never really comes into play, which is a little weird because it's so dramatic in its introduction, is that Paul does have a gun. And by gun, I mean Dirty Harry's hand cannon. God, he opens it up. It's like, holy shit, what are you shooting with that? Nothing. You know, the old adage in screenwriting, if you show a gun in the opening scene, somebody gets shot by the third act. Nope. It didn't happen in this one.
Chekhov is rolling in his grave.
Cool. So he begins to explore Mars, and the air thing gets a little weird until it's like he's opening his thing, putting it down, opening it. It's like, is it bad or is it good? Oh well, it's the '60s. It's a '60s mission to Mars. Um, like I said, most of the first half of the movie is just him figuring out how to survive and finding shelter and how to make fire and figuring out the oxygen and playing with his little monkey that
Do
has a
tell.
little fur loincloth. There's one part where the monkey's sitting on a rock squatting, legs up. I'm like, there's a little loincloth, little fur loincloth covering his delicates. Like, okay.
Working.
Exactly, yes. And about halfway through the movie, he finds another, well, I mean, it looks like a human. They didn't try to create an enemy mine kind of alien or anything like that. It's just a guy. And figures out he's a slave. So Paul immediately begins yelling at him and berating him to don't touch these things, don't do this. Like, oh well, but it doesn't seem to bother his guy Friday. Which he starts to call him and even gives a shout out to the author when he calls him Friday with apologies to the original. Right? It's like that's nice. I said this is a smartly written movie. There's a lot of things in here that come together really well. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous looking, but it's really cool in its ridiculousness. And like the place he lives, there's all kinds of like bright colored crystal things on the walls and technicolor level of walls around him. That's just like that seems a bit much, but I don't care. It looks really cool. And it has that weird effect when you're watching a movie that's probably 90% shot on sets, where it looks really bad at first, but the more you watch it, the more you get used to it, and it looks just fine. This movie does that really well. Uh, Robinson Crusoe on Mars is a director's tour de force, as someone says. The director said nobody interfered with him. He said it's the most freedom he's ever had outside since he'd made the War of the Worlds movie. And he said he had almost complete autonomy, and it was a general pleasure and fulfillment for Robinson Crusoe on Mars, also fulfilling as cinematography has ever been. Everything he set out to do, he said he was able to accomplish. It's a great example of letting an art tour do what they do, because it's this movie shouldn't work. There's so many weird things that go on, but it absolutely does. And it gets a little slow a little while. It's almost a 2-hour film. It probably would have been a really cracking 90-minute movie, but that's okay. It's still fun to watch. uh, the the effects are a little weird at times. When you see a spaceship, it is literally a two-dimensional animated cartoon.
Yeah.
Yes, that's so good.
And you see a lot of them because for some reason, and this is one of the storyline things that's a little weird in the movie, the aliens, uh, the way it's set out is the alien from someplace else come in spaceships, kill all the slaves, and leave, except for the one guy Friday who escapes. But they keep coming back to kill him. I'm kind of like, what? Why do you care? just, just leave them on the planet to die or whatever. Because it says they're done mining whatever they were mining. So I'm like, this is a little weird because it's like 3 or 4 ships show up 10 times maybe trying to kill him. But again, it's a really good movie, so I was okay with it. And to give you an idea of how solidly put together this movie is, Criterion put it out in 19 or no, Home Media put it out in 1993 on Laserdisc by Criterion. Then Criterion released it again on DVD, and they've released it again on Blu-ray.
Nice.
So they have a strong support for this film, and I think it's well deserved. I think the title hurts it a lot. It's just weird sounding,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah,
highly
but
recommend it.
it's also very family film feeling. It feels like it's
Yeah,
not Disney, right?
no,
But it
no,
feels
it's
kind of
not.
like a Disney
Yeah,
flick.
yeah, Yeah, it's definitely very family. And when it first came out, it got massive good reviews and the buzz was great, but then just completely flopped. They had a sequel ready to go and everything, but it just
Oh,
flopped at the box office. So,
bummer. I like this movie quite a bit.
cool.
Okay, let's see. All right, guys.
Okay. You ready?
My movie, not as good.
Oh no.
So let's see, 10 minutes here. I
Will you
chose.
need 10 minutes?
No.
I
no.
only need one.
I chose from 1959, The Angry Red Planet.
Is there life on Mars? For centuries we have wondered. Now, for the first time, through the new photographic miracle of Cinemagic, you will see the wonders of this strange and terrifying world when you see The Angry Red Planet. Join this daring crew, the first in the scientific race between nations to attempt to land on Mars.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire.
Blast off from Earth with courageous astronauts Gerald Moore, Nora Hayden, Les Tremaine, Jack Kruschen. Travel thousands of miles through space to the unknown. Cinemagic is not being shown to you now, but this wild land comes alive in Cinemagic. You'll see buildings miles high in Cinemagic. Journey to the center of sudden terror in Cinemagic. Be trapped by the tentacles of man-devouring plants in Cinemagic. Feel the fire-hot breath of a 40-foot monster as it reaches for you in Cinemagic. Your eyes will see the wonders of a world no eyes in this world have ever seen before.
I wonder, will we ever get back to Earth?
Which had a budget of $190,000. I could find no box office information, nor could I find any Rotten Tomatoes critics information or audience information. Written and directed 5 years before your film, Eric, by Ib Melchior, with an assist by Sidney W. Pink. 6 directing credits and 20 writing credits. All the movies you talked about, Eric. Robinson Crusoe on Mars, of course. Planet of the Vampires, Death Race 2000, 13 Demon Street, Reptilicus, and Journey to the Seventh Planet. The guy has a hard-on for sci-fi movies, so gotta like that.
Yep.
This stars Gerald Moore, who has 155 credits, mostly TV, but also One Dangerous Night, The Truth About Murder, Dragonfly Squadron, and My World Dies Screaming.
That sounds good.
Nice.
Yeah. It also stars Nora Hayden, who has 35 credits, including Plunder Road, High School Confidential, and Operation Camel. And Les Tremaine, who has 135 credits, including War of the Worlds, Forbidden Planet, and The Monolith Monsters. So, okay, Angry Red Planet, you guys. We open in the middle of a crisis. A group of high-level mucky mucks are having an emergency meeting at the Pentagon. It seems that the experimental rocket ship MR-1, assumed destroyed when they lost contact with it 61 days ago as it approached Mars, has now been detected in orbit around Earth.
Ooh.
In Nevada, they're able to regain remote control of the rocket and bring it to touchdown, but we are unsure what has happened to the crew. We get newspaper headlines spinning across the screen that say, "Is Mars rocket crew alive?" And then we get earlier broadcast footage of the crew, which was Colonel Tom, Dr. Iris, Professor Theodore, and Chief Warrant Officer Sam. So when the rocket ship lands, the military's there and they check it out for radiation and all of that. And then all of a sudden, the door of the rocket opens. And it is, it's one of these doors that opens and then turns into a ramp like every good rocket ship should, right?
Wheelchair access.
Yes. and uh, and we get a lone female exiting the ship. It is Iris, the doctor, and she tells them that the colonel's in there and he needs help. So they bring him out on a stretcher, and his entire arm is covered in this awful goo. When Iris is told that everything that can be done for Tom will be done, her reply is, and I'm not kidding, how can anyone cope with that?
Ugh. Gooey arms, man. That's rough.
At the hospital, Tom is being treated, but everyone is stumped about what is growing all over his arm, but it's definitely getting bigger. And one of the doctors suggests that the tapes from the spacecraft might give them some clues, except they all seem to have been erased.
Ooh.
They talk to Iris, and she's frustrated because she can't seem to remember what exactly happened to Tom because this is the 1950s and she is only a woman.
Hard.
So the doctors ask her to start at the beginning and see what she remembers. And the rest of the film is her recounting the strange tale of rocket ship MR1. Guys, this rocket ship is some low class bullshit. But then again, so is the entire movie. While they're in the rocket ship, they sit on office chairs in front of their consoles.
Oh my God.
There's no mention of why or how the ship has gravity inside of it, but they all just wander about like office buddies, staring out the window and talking about life in Leave It to Beaver style dialogue.
Oh
When
God.
Iris admits to Tom that she's a little afraid, he tells her they all are, and she responds with, not kidding. It's not just me then, Tom, being a woman.
Jesus Christ. Fuck, man.
Wow.
Woof.
47 days later, they are orbiting Mars. This is a very fast rocket ship. And they decide to land and claim the planet in the name of Brooklyn, as the warrant officer suggests.
Cool.
But when Iris looks out the window, she is confronted by the ghastly visage of a three-eyed monster. She screams, and she is suddenly back in the hospital recounting the story. She tells them that she simply can't remember what happened next, and the doctor explains her mind refuses to remember. He speculates that the alien infection on Tom could spread to all humans and that every moment counts and proposes narcosynthesis, but also states her mind might snap if we forced her to remember the horror she has so carefully obliterated from her conscious level. She agrees to do it.
Sure.
So, even though she saw a monster out there, they all decide to go out and explore. A note here for all of you film lovers, we are now experiencing, in capital letters, Cinemagic, which seems to be placing a solarized red filter over the camera lens so that everything looks kind of red negative. It's ugly and it looks bad, but probably hides a multitude of low budget monster effects that are coming our way. The Martian landscape is a veritable jungle of plants and trees that we also have on Earth, strangely, but some other weird alien plants too, like a giant Venus flytrap that attacks them. But luckily, Sam has an ultrasonic freeze gun, which doesn't even have a fucking ray, you guys. So I have no idea how you'd know if it was working. He points it, and then the Venus flytrap freezes in its track. That's the only way you know it's working.
Oh God.
There's no fucking sound. There's no fucking ray.
Oh my God.
Jesus.
Oh no.
So they decide to go back to the ship. They've had enough exploring for the day. And the professor theorizes that they are being watched and that the plant attacking them was probably under the control of whatever rules this strange planet. So the next morning, they decide to go out exploring again. And they are attacked by this amazing, huge rat bat spider puppet. And they barely escape with their lives. If you've ever seen any picture from this movie, it is this monster, which is kind of adorable. I don't know. Back at the rocket ship, they decide it is time to fucking go home. This place sucks. But there is a strange force stopping the rocket from leaving. So they decide to cross a huge lake towards a Martian city with skyscrapers a mile tall. But before they can get to it, the sea begins to boil and another creature is attacking them. So they run back to the ship, and Sam has to sacrifice himself so the rest of the crew can escape. And I'll just tell you this, This is for you nerds out there. This is clearly where the idea of the gelatinous cube comes from in Dungeons and Dragons, because Sam gets sucked into it, and then we see him dissolve, and it is the best effect in the film. It's clearly just a time lapse. They've got a picture of him, and then they fade into like a skeleton of him, and I was like, nicely done. This is exactly what you do. And then the skeleton just disappears.
Oh my
So
god.
at the ship, they're attacked and surrounded by this huge jello monster, and the professor has a heart attack and dies. So now it's just Tom and Iris, and they quickly realize that Tom has been infected by this jello monster. Will Iris be able to pilot the ship back to Earth on her own? She is just a woman.
She's just a
And
woman.
if so, will they be able to save Tom? Well, I mean, she does get the ship back to Earth, and then we do have another fucking third act where they race to figure out Tom's issues. But they also get one last recording from the ship that did survive, and it is a recording from the King of Mars, or whatever the fuck he is. And he basically chastises humanity for being technological adults, but spiritual and emotional infants, and to stay away from Mars if you know what's good for you. It's all quite dumb.
Fair.
So Tom's
Shit,
fine.
hold on. My notes. Tagline: Sights beyond belief.
I bet.
Trivia. The cinemagic process used for all scenes on the surface of Mars was the result of an attempt by producer Norman Maurer to turn live action footage directly into hand drawn animation, or to simulate that. This would enable hand drawn backgrounds to look as real or as unreal as the live action footage. It does not have that effect in this movie. Although the producers had planned to do the outdoor. Oh, there's my buzzer. You want to hear this trivia?
I do.
The producers had planned to do the outdoor scenes, quote, on the cheap. Anyway, the cinemagic process so disguised and obscured the appearance that even cheaper sets could be used. Sidney Pink, the writer, says, our set for the planet Mars cost us a couple $100 instead of the thousands we had estimated.
Bonus.
Sweet.
The alien monster is the same one featured on the cover of the album Walk Among Us by the Misfits. And finally, the screenplay was written on Sidney Pink's kitchen table, recruiting his children in to act as critics. His initial draft was called The Planet Mars and included all sorts of strange creatures and an entire Martian city. Naturally, budgetary restraints precluded all that. Naturally.
Yes.
Woof. That sounds god awful, Kelly.
You know what? It wasn't the worst Mars movie I watched for this subgenre. I watched something called Mission Mars.
Oh no.
That had what's his name in it? Kolchak, the old man from
oh, really?
Christmas Story. And that movie was even worse. They walk around Mars with these faceplates that don't. It's basically motorcycle helmets. The faceplates don't seal off anything. And when I did research on that film, I found out, and I think this is why they were doing this in your film, Eric, that up until the 70s, we thought that there was probably limited oxygen on Mars, and that there were ways that you could walk around on Mars with just the help of a nose breather and stuff like that. So kind of crazy to think that, in our lifetime, we have been this stupid about everything.
It's incredible.
Yes.
I mean, not me.
So much
Very
smarter
easy
now.
if you look at me to think that. But scientists thought this.
Oh, you should have watched Moonshot. I don't know what to tell you.
Moonshot was one of the ones I put on the list, and then I was like, I ain't paying for that shit.
In fairness, I do that thing where you can tell Amazon to deliver something a few days later, and then it means most of my movies are like $1. So,
oh, interesting.
yeah, I didn't pay much. I'll tell you what.
Well, I looked at your Mission to Mars movie, and I looked at something else, like Red Planet, I think was the other one that came out at the same time as Mission to Mars with the different cast. So that must be the one with the robotic dog, and that one is just junk right from the start. So I was really surprised that the Mars movies are pretty bad. I could have done Ghosts of Mars, but
I Yeah,
The
I
Martian?
know. Same. Well, yeah, Martian. I kind of felt like that was too straight of a film for me. Then yeah, and then I'd already done Aniara, and I was kind of kicking myself because I was like, they're also going to Mars in that one, but it's also terrible. I'm gonna hate that movie.
Yeah,
So
what's with this subgenre? We
ah,
get lots of cool invaders from Mars
yeah,
movies, but
Yeah.
going to
Good
Mars,
point.
pretty
nah, not
sucky.
so good. Not so good. Hmm.
Oh well.
Yeah. All
Well,
right.
it was in theory,
Well,
it sounded fun. Fun on
yeah.
paper.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Tom. You fucking asshole. Uh,
Wait, you never told us if Tom in the movie got rescued. I need to know.
in my movie? Oh,
Yeah.
do you really want to know?
Did he make it?
He made it.
Okay. I'm never going to see this film.
He made it because Iris figured out
She
that they
remembered.
could. Yes.
Ah,
She figured out, which is a shock because she's only a woman, but she figured out that by putting these like minute electrical charges on him, that this thing would leap off of him and go to this other piece of fungus that they had built for it to be on. And now
Uh-huh.
they can study the world of Mars. However, this warning has come, which was basically get the fuck off my lawn from
Yeah.
Mars, King.
Fuck, dude. All right. That's
good
all I
time.
needed. That's all I needed
Good
from that
times.
movie.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oof, Eric, I think it's your choice for the
Yes.
next subgenre.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. I think this might lead it to better stuff. Kind of a potential wide thing. Some
It's always the
movie,
hope.
yes, exactly, that a radio or TV broadcast plays a prominent role in the story of what is going on, like Poltergeist or something like that.
Sure,
Nice. I
sure.
like it.
I'd say The Howling, but spoiler, we're going to be talking about that at the upcoming live show.
That's
Yeah.
right. Crypticon, where I'm sure Joe
Crypticon.
Dante will drop by since
Joe
he'll be
Dante
there.
will stick his head in and he'll be like, "Are you guys talking about The Howling? Fuck."
You know, I made that movie.
Really,
What?
come in
You
and tell
made
us
this
about
movie?
it
Can
right
I
now.
can I rap with you kids for a minute?
The sad thing is, he would look at us and call us kids.
That's true. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing Joe Dante. I've been trying to find a good Howling poster, but
Yeah.
you know what? Okay, another spoiler. Not my favorite Joe Dante film.
What's your
Oh, no.
favorite?
I'm not
Drag Me
sure.
to Hell.
I think I like maybe
Drag
Inner
Me to
Space
Hell?
better.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, sorry.
Or I
Inner
mean
Space.
Gremlins 2 for sure.
Yeah.
Gremlins is great.
Matinee. He's had
I
a
I
good run of great
I
films.
still haven't seen Matinee.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
I still remember old man moment here, seeing Gremlins in the theater
Yeah.
when we didn't know what kind of movie it was going to be. And
Yeah.
she pops that gremlin in the microwave. I'm like, I'm gonna like this movie. And
Yeah,
that's
weren't you
part of why we have PG-13
I
movies,
was gonna
children.
say, weren't you telling me that this was one of the films that got everybody up in
Yeah.
got their panties in a bunch?
Yep.
Mhm.
It's in Temple of Doom.
Okay. So we're talking broadcast films next week. So this is the part where I remember to bring in the paper that has the stuff that we're supposed to talk about, like saying thanks for everybody liking and sharing posts, for participating in the value for value model, for
Yay.
jumping in on the subscription plans, which a couple of you guys have done, which is really, really nice, where we just take money right out of your fucking bank account monthly.
Thank you.
Thank you. We
Like,
appreciate
cool.
you.
like criminals.
It goes towards real things like mics and chairs and stands and the ability to also do things like live shows. So
Yeah, not only that, but it costs money to run a website for a year and to host the stuff. So I
Podcast.
assume it costs
Yeah.
money. Eric takes care
Oh,
of all
yeah.
that stuff.
yeah, we just let Eric do all the hard bits.
Pretty much.
Yeah, this is
Accurate.
if you want to reach out to us, you can find us on the Strange Eons Radio hotline, which is 253-237-4266. Leave us a message. If you want to reach out to us even quicker, you can find almost all of us on the Strange Eons Radio talk page on Facebook. Whenever somebody posts, I make sure to at least like their post. And if there's something I can say about it, I will comment on it.
And then you can always tell when Vanessa makes her every 3 or 4 days process onto Facebook, and suddenly it's like, like.
Right.
Ah, Vanessa's
Yeah,
on.
every once in a while, you will see that the thing you posted 1 or 2 weeks previous, I will have a comment for. You're welcome. It's like, when you get a birthday present after the day and you're like, oh, that's nice. I mean, my birthday's gone, but it's still good to get a present. That's me in your
That
life.
is you.
Wow.
I've always said that about you. So, okay, guys, that is it. We're going to be back in 7 short days. I think we're filming in person, and we are going to be talking broadcasts.
Yay.
Yay.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
Next Thursday.
Transportation and other considerations for Strange Eons Radio produced by Pan Am Airlines. When you think of traveling, think of Pan Am. You can't beat the experience. Guests of Strange Eons Radio stay at Econo Lodge Everett. It's an easy stop on the road, if you know what we mean. Strange Eons Radio is recorded live in front of a studio audience. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving us a positive review on your favorite podcast app. Sit, Ubu, sit.
You know what? My baby had her very first Easter